the path of being an athlete had so much structure. I had coaches. I had a team. I had practices that I had to be at certain times. I had drills that I had to do. I had, you know what I mean? Like there was a program. And so that led me to become one of the best rugby players in the country. And as an artist, I was just a fucking kid, like trying to figure out like, how do you become a rock star? I don't know how do you get to that, right? I had no support or guidance or structure really.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Headliner Mindset Podcast. Today's guest is a life coach that has been working with artists for over 15 years, but to me, he's much more than that. He is somebody that has greatly impacted my journey as a human and as an artist. He's an incredible mentor, and I'm lucky enough to call him one of my very best friends. I'm so excited and feel honored to be digging through his brain a bit today. I'm Fredy Lane, and this is Nik Cherwink.
Wow. Okay. Officially the best intro ever.
I got you.
You totally did. Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
I'm excited. I feel honored to be here.
I'm really excited for everybody that's listening to this podcast right now that has been following it for the past 6 months and just heard a new voice doing the intro today and was probably like, what the fuck?
Yes. Gotta switch things up on them, keep them on their toes.
Yeah, this is exciting. Thank you for hosting today.
Of course.
This is a big moment. I'm very happy because this is 6 months.
Huge.
6 months. Thank you. 6 months of the Headliner Mindset Podcast every single week, every Monday. And man, I'm just so thankful to everybody that's been listening and so thankful for you being a part of it and
of course
being here today.
Yeah, I'm excited for everyone to get to know the Nik that I know.
Yeah. So where do we begin?
Awesome.
You're the host today. I'm the guest. It's very weird sitting here.
Is it?
Also, for those of you that are listening on Spotify, go to YouTube actually instead and go watch this because we are in person. This is the first in-person interview that I've done on the podcast. Fredy is here in Austin. We got this 6 studio. Shout out to Pouch 6.
Yes.
Because I'm going to have to be coming back here. This place is rad. So
yeah, it's a different vibe
totally.
Being in person.
Totally. I like it.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, I guess let's just jump right in.
Let's dig in.
Can you tell the guests a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. So I call myself an artist coach. I work with artists. I love artists. Like I feel so called to support the community that has given me so much. And, you know, the way that I do that is, I mean, really it's life coaching. It's like I've worked in the music industry for a long time, so ever since really right out of college. And I've worked at major labels. I was a manager. And that whole journey was really doing a lot of different things, but sort of finding myself and where do I feel like I'm the most lit up, and also like where do I feel like I have the biggest gift to serve. You know, my passion for music, my passion for music business was also equally aligned with my passion for personal development. And so, you know, I just have always been studying personal development ever since I got out of college. I was reading the books and just learning how to be a better person. I feel like I went to college and learned a bunch of shit that didn't serve me at all. Like nothing really made my life any better. But once I started getting into personal development, I was like, man, I really discovered a passion for it. So I've just found this really cool space where this community of artists that I, love so much and that I've been working with for so long, it's like, yeah, there's so much of the music business and the music production and all that stuff to learn, but also like we need to learn this personal development shit because that's the foundation. Definitely. So that's really what I do is I do help people with like music business stuff to a certain extent, but like really what I've been doing for the last few years is bringing my passion for helping people have a strong mindset, emotional intelligence, learning how to control your energetic state. Like those are the things that we have to have in place. Otherwise the rest of it is just very, very hard.
Yeah. And I mean, I think deep diving into that part of it, I know me as an artist, like that's something for me, like we've talked about it from the get-go, is like I see myself as my project grows more and more, like really wanting to have someone on my team that kind of keeps my mind right. Like this is such a difficult industry to be in and be successful in. And I think there's not enough conversation about the struggles that we go through as artists and the work that it really takes to keep your mental like in check.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you can have all of the biggest goals and dreams in the world, but if your mind isn't in a healthy place, if your energy isn't in a healthy place, like it's hard. And anything, regardless of if you're an artist or not. But specifically, the artist path comes with its own very unique set of challenges. It's not like going to a 9-to-5 job. It's not taking the normal paved road that has sort of been laid out for you, and it just is a lot easier, you know. And that's why like a very small percentage of people choose to go on what I would call like the hero's journey, you know, which is just like you're paving your own path. And so it takes like an extra strong mindset to be able to do that. And it's also, I don't think it's a path that is really meant to be done alone. You know, we need that support in all different areas, you know. So I feel very, very blessed to have, I truly feel like I've been called to like support in this specific way. And yeah, it's cool to, you know, to hear it from an artist who's actually walking that path. And obviously, you know, I've worked with literally hundreds of artists at this point, and I think pretty much everybody can agree that like, yeah, this is really hard, and it is like can be like a mental head fuck. And it's nice to have like some support in your corner.
Definitely. It's kind of funny as you said the hero's journey. I just got like a little flashback, and I figured it might be nice to tell everybody how we met. Nik was actually one of my teachers at Icon Collective when I went to school there. And yeah, I just had like a little bit of a flashback to like sitting in Art of Flow class, listening to you talk about the hero's journey. And the one thing that really sat with me, like the only part of the hero's journey that I really, really remember is being like in the belly of the whale.
Yeah.
And just like being in that like dark, I have no idea what the fuck's going on place.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a place that I find myself in very commonly in my artist journey so far.
Totally.
But in that sense, I'm interested to hear a little bit about your work that you've done with artists, and maybe if you could share a little bit about like some breakthroughs or like just some examples of kind of like the breakthroughs that you go through with the artists you work with.
Yeah. I've found a trend a little bit over this just thinking recently, I'd say over the last 6 months, I've had a handful of artists that have come to me that at some point really just lost their steam. They lost their passion, you know, like they're going for it, and, you know, you're hitting it for a couple years, but for whatever reason, they hit some kind of roadblock. For a lot of people, it was the pandemic, you know, a lot of artists threw in the towel during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think everybody at some point comes up against a moment, not everybody, but a lot of people come up against this moment where like, do I want to keep doing this? Right. And there's so many reasons to quit. There's like, there's easier jobs that you can get that are going to pay you more money. There's just other paths to take and all of these different influences. And, you know, everybody has their own reason, but I've had a handful of artists that have come to me that were kind of like, yo, like I either was at a plateau for a minute, or I just, you know, lost passion, lost inspiration, whatever it was. But know that deep down, they're supposed to be doing this. Like there's still that voice.
Yeah,
There's
they're
still
in the belly.
They're in the belly. Yeah. It's like there's something deep inside of them that knows this is why I was put here. And also knows that if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people just need that support. They need that extra push. And for a lot of people, especially for music producers who I usually work with, they're usually doing it by themselves. It's like you can make everything yourself. So your life kind of becomes locking yourself in your room, staring at a laptop forever. And so it can become very isolating. And so I think that when you isolate yourself and it becomes a lonely journey, then you start to hit some of those roadblocks. It can be really hard to keep going. So that's oftentimes what I've had some amazing breakthroughs this year with people that were like, man, I'm just thinking now about like the people that I've worked with and seeing where they're at. It's so fucking rewarding to me because now they're killing it. Now they're like waking up, and, you know, I just saw one of the guys that I was working with, he was doing pretty well for a while. He was getting some success. He kind of spiraled out for a bit and, lost motivation. But now it's like he just had a track played at like the biggest drum and bass festival in Europe, just got a track signed, like put out a big remix, just played a show, like a huge show that sold out. And it was like, 6 months ago, he was questioning if he wanted to keep going. Yeah. So just being able to get in somebody's corner and play that role of just supporting them, and also really just like teaching, like we have the ability to take control of our mindset and to develop healthy habits that are going to give us the right energy, that like we can create our own energy. Like that inspiration isn't something that just, there's not like an inspiration fairy that just sometimes visits you. It's like you can create that yourself. Yeah. Like we have to take ownership and own that. And so to see when people do that, it's so cool. And there's tools, it's like I've been studying personal development for 15 years or 18 years now. I don't know how long, but there's like things that you can do. There's exercises, just like you can exercise your physical health, you can exercise your mental health, your emotional health. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's been a cool year. There's been a lot of big breakthroughs.
I bet.
Yeah.
I can kind of relate because I do feel slightly like I've watched you kind of go through this same journey in becoming a coach and deciding that coaching artists was your passion and was your purpose. And I'd love to maybe like open the floor a little bit if you wanted to talk kind of about the struggles that you maybe went through in finding your purpose. I think that that's something that a lot of people maybe listening to this could relate with.
Oh, for sure. Well, first off, for anyone that hasn't listened to our previous episode, I did interview Fredy Lane. I think it was episode 5. So
4 or 5.
You're like one of the first people I interviewed. And I always like to refer to you as my life coach because we just have an awesome, best friend relationship. And we were even talking about this on the way over here where we can just call each other out. We just call each other out on our bullshit. Oh. We're like, hey bro, like get your shit together. What are you doing? And you've given me some really good, encouragement and inspiration. And it really was, you were one of the voices that was in my ear that was like, hey, you should be coaching artists. Like this is your path. Even when I didn't see it, even when I couldn't see it. And yeah, so just to back up a little bit, it has been a long journey. I think when I started coaching, it was like I was just kind of life coaching anybody and everybody. It was like just this thing. I just wanted to help people.
Yeah, I remember you hit me up one day and you're like, I think I might do some like sex coaching.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's been a journey. Yeah, well, because
you've been all over the place.
All over. I was just coaching, anybody and everybody, helping people with whatever. It just so happened though that like almost everybody I know are artists because I worked in the music industry forever. So I was focusing on artists for a while, but then when I was focusing on artists, pretty much all of them were men. So I was going on my own sort of journey of discovering my masculinity and like learning all of this like men's work stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to be a men's coach. And I started going in this other direction. I started running men's groups, which I still do sometimes, which is rad. And at the end of the day, like if you are a male artist, you also are a man, and there still is a lot of work in that space to be done. But yeah, that brought in the whole like, that led to, a lot of talks about dating, a lot of talks about sexuality. So I was like, I think I want to be a sex coach, be a dating coach. I was all over the fucking place.
I love that though.
But ultimately,
that's how you find yourself.
Yeah. And it's almost like exploring genres.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I think I want to be a dubstep artist. And so you're going to like go play that for a while. Then it's like, oh, wait, I kind of like this a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so it was a process of that. It was also a process of me wanting to throw in the towel. I mean, I've talked about this many times as well. Like, I'd gone through a real tough breakup and I moved from California to Austin. And then I just, I had a lot of healing to do. And I'd been coaching people nonstop for 5 years, just like helping other people, pouring myself into other people. And it was finally time where I was like, I need to take care of myself. I was like, I don't think I can really help anybody right now. And I never fully quit. Like I still always had one client, but it got to that last thread. Like I stopped taking on clients for a while. And it was around that time. I mean, I had a good couple months of just being really lost, really depressed, just wanting to quit. You were a really powerful influence for me at that time. Like you were just such a good, solid, support system for me. I had like my mental health team, which was you and like, 3 or 4 other people. But yeah, I mean, you definitely kept that voice alive. I had another client, Mikey Francis. I got a shout out to him. He was somebody who also really like reminded me, like our time working together was so good that it just reminded me, I'm like, fuck, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
Like
sometimes you need someone to remind you who the fuck you are when you forget.
straight up, straight up. And that's why, I like to, those have been some of my favorite kind of moments, I think, in working with clients, is when they're sort of forgetting, like, hey, like, I'm not sure, like, this is getting really hard. I'm not sure I want to keep going. Sometimes we just need that voice. We need that person in our corner to encourage us to keep going and support us.
Well, I also think it's kind of funny too, and I'm sure you have lots of moments of this when you're coaching. Like, I think sometimes, like, when you're giving someone advice, it's like the advice that you need to hear.
Always, always, yeah.
And so when you're working with artists, I'm sure you're learning a lot about yourself and growing and working on yourself too, kind of at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. And that's been such a cool journey. I remember right when I started coaching, I was, helping people with their challenges and, giving them advice and helping them make powerful commitments about the changes that they were going to make. And then I had to look in the mirror and really be like, am I doing the same shit? Like, this guy says he's about to go, do this or whatever. I'm like, am I actually practicing what I preach? And so there was a huge level up, and it's been a consistent process of leveling up and a consistent process of looking in the mirror and really being like, am I fully in alignment, and am I fully in integrity? Am I showing up in the most, powerful way that I can be? There's a saying in coaching, you can only take your clients as far as you've gone yourself.
100%.
And so
in every relationship.
Yeah. So it's like, I definitely have to just continue working on my own, my own stuff. And it's endless. It's like, that's another big thing too, is I realized there's never there's no end to it. And I used to be on this quest to be like perfect and to have it all locked in and be like, all right, someday I'm just going to be like super on my shit and totally perfectly dialed in and like every aspect of my life. And that's actually a really dangerous trap to fall into, because there's no ending to your growth. You're never going to be perfect. And the whole nature of being human is actually really fucking messy.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster. It's up and down. It's like, we're happy, we're sad, we're never going to just live on one side of the spectrum. And so much of the journey over the last couple of years has been much more about embracing the messiness, embracing not being perfect. It's like, as an artist, you might be sitting there trying to like make your mix perfect or make your song perfect. It's like, when is a song ever done? A song's never going to be perfect. And a lot of the best music is music that's a little fucking messy.
Yeah.
Right? It's a little rough around the edges. And once I started to embrace that side of myself, of like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes I'm going to get depressed.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm going to I'm going to fail in a relationship. Sometimes, like, life is going to have its challenges, and I'm not going to know what the fuck I'm doing. And that's okay. Yeah. Nobody really does. And anybody that pretends like they do, anyone that says that they do is a fucking phony.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Like, I love that you're able to own up to those things and kind of share those things. And also, I think like going through those like bouts of depression and those different difficult times, like I think that's what has given you the tools to be able to help others navigate through their depression and through their anxiety or through whatever issues it is that they deal with.
1,000%. I was on a call recently with a new client that I'm going to start with, and his relationship was part of what we were talking about. And like, I just lit up so much on the call, because I was like, dude, I know exactly where you are right now. And I 100% know how to navigate through this, because I was there.
That's awesome.
Like, and like, I got excited. I lit up. I was like, fuck. And all of that pain that I experienced before of, going through the breakup, all that stuff. It was like, even when I'm in it, I still have a voice in my head that is always telling me, you're going through this for a reason. Right. And as much as it sucks, as much as it's painful, I just have that thought and that voice very deeply like implanted in my mind. So I know, like, I'm here for a reason. There's something I need to learn. And the point is to then go and share it with the rest of the world, or just go even share it with one other person. We're like, bro, if I can help you navigate this challenging situation, because I've been through it too. And so you don't have to necessarily feel the same pain and challenge that I did. So there's a lot of, purpose in that.
Yeah. I always say, like, if I can change one life, that's enough.
Yeah.
Changing one life is huge.
Yeah. And you never know. I actually just talked to this girl in the gym the other day. She's just like somebody in the like fitness community here in Austin that I like loosely know sort of through CrossFit, and just had followed her. And she at one point had made just like a post about her sobriety, like she had stopped drinking. And it hit me right at the right time because I had just had another friend talk to me about how he had quit drinking, and I had been kind of in the back of my mind thinking about quitting drinking, and I decided not to. And it's been like almost a year since I haven't drank. And I saw this girl in the gym the other day, and I was like, hey, like this is super random, but I just want you to know that like you made a post like a year ago that actually like inspired me to stop drinking. She had no idea, and it's like you never know who's listening.
Yeah.
You know, you never
and
know
who
who's
it's
watching.
Gonna really resonate with.
Yeah. Even with my newsletter, every time I would write my newsletter, I was always like, it was kind of a lot for me to write those sometimes because they were really from the heart. And I was always like, I know there's at least one person that this is just the right thing for them to hear today. Yeah. So
I think about that every time that I'm like, oh, I want to like post this like somewhat inspirational, like maybe vulnerable, like quote or something on my Instagram story. And every time I'm like, do I do it? Do I not do it? Like, should I be just posting another video of me like playing or whatever? And then I do it and people like DM me and they're like, this is exactly what I needed to read today. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
and what you're talking about right there is the basis of my coaching and a lot of other coaching, which is recognizing that voice, which we would call like the saboteur.
Yeah.
I call it my inner gremlin. I like to personify it, like give it a name, as like it's like a process I'll do with my clients oftentimes is like give that voice a name so that you can recognize it when it comes up, because it's telling you, it's like one part of you is like, hey, I've got this message and I want to share it, or hey, I've got this dream and I want to go for it. I've got this goal. I've got this song I want to put out. I've got this thing that wants to be expressed through me. And then that little voice is going to pop up and it's going to say, no, don't put it out. Like people might make fun of you. People might reject you. What if nobody likes it? Right. And that's the inner sabotaging voice. And the whole fucking game is learning how to recognize that voice and become become the master of it rather than the slave to it, right? To be able to, recognize the voice and then still take action in the face of it, right? It's like, fear is going to be there. Doubt is going to be there. All of these things are natural and they're going to be there, but can your courage be bigger than your fear? And when you start to lean into that and then you start to see the results of it, of like, oh shit, that one person DM'd me and just told me how much this post changed their life or whatever, then it reinforces that muscle to like keep
little
going.
Things that reinforce. I remember when I started my project, like that was terrifying. I was walking away from a very successful career, deciding to just jump in after 10 years of not being in music and 10 years of living every single day in regret, wishing that I was working on music. And I was just like, you know what, I've got to do it. And every time I would get a show or like somebody would DM me and be like, oh, I love the song that you just put out, or like there's just like all these little reminders. Like I still to this day, like every single time somebody comments on a post and is like, I love this song, or your set was my favorite set of the weekend, I take a screenshot of it and I keep it. And like those little things are the things that I think about every time I want to give up, and every time that like my little gremlin, maybe his name's Jason. Ready, Jason?
Yeah, hey.
Every time Jason's jumping in there trying to like give me some kind of doubt or feed into my fears, like I have to remember like those voices and those people that like believe in me and that really like stick with me. Like I think those little tiny validations like here and there, not that I think you have to like look externally for validation, but like it's something that like you do look to other people for sometimes. And I think that those things just keep giving you like more and more confidence to keep going, and then you get to this point where you're just like, I'm doing the damn thing, you know, like nothing's stopping me now.
Well, you just named a really, really good tactical exercise that you can do. I call it a success log, which is taking those screenshots or just writing down anytime anything cool happens ever. Like anytime you get that validation or you have that moment, a win of some sort, write it down and keep track of it, because there's those days where you just forget. And it's nice to have that reminder. Like I have a folder every time, not every time, fortunately, like, it happens a lot that I get such, cool, little feedback or comments, or, especially with the podcast. I fucking love all of you guys, by the way. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. But every time I get a message that's like, oh, I love the podcast. Cool. I screenshot that.
Yeah.
And I put it in a folder. And then anytime I need a little boost or a reminder of like, why am I doing this? Right. Then go look at that shit. Right. Anytime you get a comment from a fan that's like, oh my God, this track is so cool, or I love your brand, or like, I love your message, whatever, like, save that, screenshot it, put it in a folder, and save those up, start adding those up, because sometimes we need those reminders.
Yeah.
And when you can just open it up and look at like, oh, wait a minute, like, yeah, I am on the right track.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good reminder.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So something I think is kind of like an interesting concept to bring up. Obviously, you're an artist. I'm an artist. I think that there are so many artists out there that are really trying to figure out what role they play in being an artist. So I think that there's like our bedroom producers. There are our artists that are like, I thrive on stage. Like, there are so many different kinds of ways that you can be successful as an artist. Like, there's going to be some people that are just really good engineers, or that like work in studios, whatever. And I'm really curious of how you as an artist got to this point where you decided, I'm not going to be the one behind the instrument. I'm not going to be the one on the stage, but I'm going to be the one that's enlightening them.
Yeah.
And helping them dig in and helping them really like stay on their shit. Like, I think it takes a really incredible human to decide, like, I don't want to be the one in the spotlight, but I want to be the one that's behind it all, kind of crafting the minds of the people in the spotlight.
Yeah, it's such a great question, and it's been a long and wild journey. But, I started off at 10 years old making music myself. I wanted to be a rock star. I was 10 years old, I was listening to Jimi Hendrix, and I was like, I want to be a rock star like that. My hands were too small to play the guitar at the time, so I started playing the drums instead. And drums were my life from 10 years old all the way through 18. And along the way, I picked up the guitar, learned how to play the guitar. I was even rapping. I was making beats in high school. Like, there's a part of me that I can't help but wonder. I'm like, what if I never stopped producing? Because I wanted to produce when I was like 15. I was on FL Studio making actually pretty dope beats. That was 20 years ago. But, for me, I feel like I didn't really have the support. I didn't really have the encouragement. To me, at that time, it was like, going to college was just how I was programmed to think I needed to really be successful. Yeah. And that wasn't even coming from my parents actually at all. It was more like a decision I made, because I kind of came from like a broken home situation, like just really poor, bad part of town. And it was like, this is my ticket out. Like, either I'm stuck in this fucking town, or I'm going to go to college and get myself out of here. And so I went down that path with the intention still of actually making music. I went to UC San Diego. But also, I had gotten into rugby, and I had found part of my sort of, I think, men's work journey as well. Started, at that age of not really having a, father that was there, but craving that sort of masculine guidance. Yep. And I found that through sports. I found that through rugby. And I mean, I was like a little like pothead skateboarder musician. Yep. And then I found rugby and had no idea I also had this inner athlete. And not only that, but also like a leader. I was MVP, All-American, like you name it, won every award possible. And what it was, and it only was this last year that I realized that the path of being an athlete had so much structure. I had coaches, I had a team, I had practices that I had to be at certain times. I had drills that I had to do. I had, you know what I mean? Like, there was a program. And so that led me to become one of the best rugby players in the country. And as an artist, I was just a fucking kid, like, trying to figure out, like, how do you become a rock star? I don't know how do you get to that, right? I had no support or guidance or structure, really,
Yeah, I don't really think there is much of a structure that exists, because, I mean, yes, there's like programs like Icon and stuff like that where they do their best to really like help you. But when you're out here being an artist, like, there really isn't much structure or much support that really tells you, like, hey, this is your ticket.
Yeah.
And I do definitely believe that we all kind of have our own like path to pave. I think that everyone finds success in their own way. but it's definitely hard, like
Yeah.
going through that and not having the support. So I think it's really powerful, the support that you're providing to artists and kind of that structure that you're building out.
And it's where it's where I think the passion for it comes from, because it's like, yeah, I can't help but look back and be like, damn, what if I had that support and guidance as a 15, 16, 17-year-old? Like, I was fucking good. I was talented. Like, not, and I still am. Like,
Yeah, I hear you, Shred.
You hold a gun to my head and tell me to like make a beat. I can still make a beat. Don't get it twisted, y'all. I could probably fucking whip some stuff up. But I think that was, for a long time, there was a lot of regret there. There was a lot of like, oh, like, what if I stuck with it? What if I kept going? Like, and that was a very deep part of myself that there was a lot of pain around, because I had also created a story that was supposed to be my path. And basically I flipped the script and I was like, wait a minute, there's a different story here that I can choose to believe, which was like, I was supposed to go through that. I was supposed to experience all of that so that it could lead me to where I am today, which is to have this really deep passion to make sure that no artist goes left unsupported, right? I can't imagine how many artists fall through the cracks that have the talent, that have the passion. They just don't have the guidance, So now I'm like, it all makes sense. I'm like, I had to go through that journey and I had to live that. That's what has brought me to where I am today.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. You kind of rewrote your narrative.
I did. Yeah.
And I think that's like a really powerful tool. I know I'm definitely going through a phase of trying to rewrite some narratives for myself.
Yeah. We're all telling ourselves stories all the time. And the truth is, like, we get to make up those stories, and we're giving meaning to everything all the time. And so it's like, well, let's choose what we want that meaning to be. Part of it is, yes, I feel like I've chosen that narrative. The other part of it is I truly do feel like it's a calling, and that it's not even, I'm leaning so much more into my spirituality these days and developing a deeper connection with whatever God, source, spirit, universal,
whatever
energy that's out there.
Yeah.
But like leaning into that more, trusting that more, and really learning how to like listen to it and be guided by it. And really that's like our intuition, it's like getting out of your head. My mind and my ego will think, and my logic can think all it wants of what I'm supposed to do. But then there's that deeper intuitive feeling that's like in your gut and kind of in your heart and in your soul that is whispering to you. And if you can learn how to listen to that and be still and quiet enough to listen to it, and then have the courage to trust it, for me, that's what has led me here. I think I've naturally been good at listening to that deeper sort of inner wisdom, that deeper voice. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, all right, this just not even me anymore. I've just like surrendered control. And I think I've talked about this before, but it was at that moment last year of kind of questioning, like, I don't think I want to keep coaching anymore. I'm really burnt out and I'm really lost. I don't know who I'm coaching. I'm trying to be a fucking sex coach now. I'm like, who am I? I was so lost. But it was I actually did a breathwork session. And I was just laying down on the floor in a group class.
Telling me this.
Yeah, and I did a breathwork session, and it was just in the middle of this session, I just got a lightning bolt, just intuitive download. It was like it came from somewhere else, and it was just clear as day. It was like, go back to coaching artists. And I was like, yes, sir. Okay, I guess so. Okay. And like, yeah, thank God I did. It's like this last year has been it's been really transformational.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So you've been there, dude. You've been there every step of the way. Yeah. You really have. Like we reconnected at like a real pivotal moment in life.
Yeah.
I was like spiraling out. You saw it all. Yeah.
Well, we all got to be there. I mean, you have been there for many of my spirals. So
yeah. And there probably will be more.
There for sure will be
more. We welcome the
spirals
spirals now. They're going to come at some point for sure.
I'm always on some kind of meant to be.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good on spirals for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy. I'm ready to be.
We're stable.
Fucking, yeah,
We're stable.
I like this. I like this little stable stage of life I'm in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's interested, how can artists start working with you? Like what kind of options do you have?
Yeah. So I've traditionally always worked one-on-one with people, and that looks like, usually doing like a 3-month container where we just make a commitment, like, over the next 3 months, like, let's go full send all in on making the changes that you decide that you want to make and getting really clear on goals. And there's a lot of accountability built into that. We meet, every week or every other week, and
which is huge.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Accountability is
everything. Yeah. It's like, and I'm really just getting even more tight with that as far as having just like real clear systems of like, all right, at the end of the call, like, what are you doing based off everything we talked? What are you declaring you're going to do between now and then? And in a week, you got to come back and talk to me. So, and also, there's an investment in that. Like that's the whole thing with like where I think coaching is really powerful. And I mean, I've invested like, I don't even know how much, like tens of thousands of dollars in coaching and programs and growth over the years, which is so amazing because it's allowed me to become the person I am. But it's like when you have skin in the game, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, I just put down a couple grand and now I better show the fuck up, right? It's like if you buy something for $100 and that's not a lot of money to you, then it's like, oh, you might not show up. But if you really put some real money in, like it's just an energetic exchange.
Definitely.
So that's where some of the power comes from, just in the coaching industry in general. But I'm now at the point where one-on-one is so fun and it's something I will continue to do. But I've also just become a bit maxed out with that. I can only serve so many people if I'm doing one-on-one. So what I'm really excited about, and I've started planting seeds about this a little bit on other episodes, but really sitting down to build out like a group coaching model. So I could have, 20 people in it or 30 people in it or shoot, who knows how many people in it.
And making it more accessible.
Making it more accessible. I can charge a bit less for that. But what I'm really excited about that is, we also learn so much from each other. And one of the big problems, challenges, complaints that I see with artists is they're trying to do it by themselves. And are just lonely. It's lonely and again, like they can be isolated sometimes, and so this lack of community, right? And that was huge for me. When I left LA, I didn't realize it, but for 2.5 years I didn't have any community at all. And that was what led me to ultimately spiral out. Was like I just didn't have my people. I didn't have a tribe. And so that's the biggest thing that I'm really excited to start building out, is really building a community, a place that you can come to. We can get on weekly calls and we can dive into the challenges. We can talk about life. We can talk about business, like all the whole artist journey, but doing it with a group of other people. Like it's really cool when I do it one-on-one because they get that like real personal individual attention. But also a lot of people are going through the same shit. And so when you see other people going through it, and then also you're able to make friends, you're able to network, you're able to share fucking sample packs and collaborate and do all that. So I'm like really buckling down to get that up and going by January is the goal.
I'm excited to hear more about it.
I
think that it's a really cool, especially the community aspect, I think is important, just because I know as like an artist, obviously I have incredible friends that are really supportive, but I think as you're on this like journey and on this come up, like people don't realize like how lonely it gets, and you really start to realize who your real friends are. Because you are now dedicating yourself to like a totally different, like it's not a 9 to 5. Like I don't clock in, clock out. Like every single moment of every single day, I'm thinking about how to push my project forward and how to succeed as an artist. And there are so many sacrifices that I'm constantly making and able to, so that I can pursue this. And I think that means like canceling on birthdays or canceling on like going out with my friends or like not drinking if it means I have to wake up and have a studio session the next day, or like there's just so many things that I'm constantly thinking about and putting Fredy first. Like Fredy's always first, and like that doesn't always sit right with your friends. And like it might be people you've been friends with your entire life, and then you decide to take this leap of faith on yourself, and all of a sudden like you're not able to show up for them in the same way because for once you're showing up for yourself. And I think that's a very difficult thing to navigate, because it starts to make your circle smaller and smaller and smaller. And as that happens, like we start to feel more and more isolated. And I think that is like ultimately when the doubt starts to come in, because it's like you're like, man, I'm not like surrounded by the support system anymore. And like while it is feeding you and it's positive, it does feel more and more lonely.
Yeah.
So I think what you're creating is incredible, because it's like you not only have this coach that really understands what you're going through and can help kind of like guide you through it, but then you have this community of people that are kind of going through the same thing as you are, and that feel that loneliness also, and that can relate
Totally.
and kind of be there for you and listen. And
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's how we win, you know. All boats rise together, and our whole society has become very like individualized, I think, in a big way, you know. It's like this is the land of you know, independence and
Yeah.
like the self-made man, and like we pride ourselves so much on like doing it alone.
well, I mean, I can't even tell you how many of my artist friends like feel like they have to do it alone. Like
Dude.
they think they have to produce and mix and master and engineer and do all their own social media and all their own video edits and all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you really feel like that's sustainable? You know, like,
Yeah.
can you really show up as your most creative and best self if you're doing everything on your own and burning the candle at both ends?
Yeah.
Like, it really is about building a team and having a support system. Like, I think that's ultimately what creates the best artists.
Totally. And that's, you know, ultimately, I think my vision in the music industry in general is creating a lane where coaching can become part of the team. It's like
Yeah.
my bigger vision is I would love to see that an artist has a manager and an agent and a publicist and a tour manager and a life coach. And it's just part of the team where it's like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Let's make sure that we're staying healthy and we're keeping our heads screwed on straight and we're practicing good habits and practicing good self-care and staying inspired, staying motivated, staying creative.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's so easy to get caught up in a rut, you know, whether you're at the top or just getting started. So I just see a really bright future for that. And it's cool too. Like I've seen I have a few other artist coach friends, and I'm seeing other people kind of pop up, or people are coming to me that are like interested, like, hey, what are you doing? Like this coaching thing is really cool. I'm like, yes, like come join me. Like I don't want to own this space. Like I'm so excited to see this grow into something bigger and like really impact the entire culture and the landscape, you know, because for me, it's like I come back to, you know, this is more on the mental health side, but we do see artists that go on to become very, very successful and become very, very miserable.
Yeah.
You know, and we've had so many suicides. We've had so many people lose themselves. So it's like, to me, that just shows like there's something off, you know. It's not just about becoming successful. It's not just about getting the tours and getting the shows. It's like you also have to take care of yourself. Like that's just, it's such a tragedy that somebody would work so hard to become successful and then not be happy.
Yeah.
You know, like we got to learn how to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. Like it's just really hitting me because I've gotten a little bit lost lately and just like I'm grinding, I'm building the business, I'm building the thing. And I'm like, all right, wait a minute, what about having some fucking fun?
Yeah.
You know, like let's have some goddamn
am I
fun.
enjoying this?
Yeah, like bring the joy, and that's a choice. And that's a big thing I'm really realizing is like, you know, a lot of artists are really just stressed out and grinding and pushing, and myself too. Like any entrepreneur, like it's a lot of work, and it can be a lot of stress, and it doesn't always have to be. I truly believe that we can play and we can have fun, and especially as artists, we should be bringing that fun energy to it. So I'm trying to bring that more into my coaching. I'm trying to bring that, you know, like when people are getting on calls, I'm like, hey, let's get up and fucking dance for a minute before we get like sit down and get serious and talk about all our shit. Let's move our bodies, let's shake, let's be a little bit silly. You know, I want to bring more of that into just life and see everybody else do that too.
Yeah, I think it's really important to kind of remember like why we're here and why we're doing it. And I think that that's like something that helps me kind of like recenter, is like getting back in line with like my purpose and like why am I creating? Like why do I feel like I'm this vehicle? And like getting really narrowed in on like what my purpose is in creating music and sharing. And
what is that for you?
I think it's honestly like to connect. I think on like a very deep level, like for me, I want to share. I'm somebody that has struggled a lot with depression. And I think that finding my purpose through music has really helped me not like win my battle, because I don't think it's something that I'm ever just going to like win and my depression is just going to like poof. It's something that like still comes up, but I finally see myself like actually living in the present because I feel like every day I'm waking up with purpose. Where before, like when I worked my more corporate job and was very successful, I lived in this state of like, oh, I'm going to be happy when I have 50 employees, or when we're making 50 million in revenue a year, or like when we're doing XYZ, you know, like I always lived in the future of like, I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
And I was always like trying to level up. And I noticed that every time I would hit a goal, I'd be like, okay, what's the next?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next? And as soon as I shifted into like, okay, I'm not happy, like I'm making X amount of money and like I'm in these places, I'm hitting these goals of like, I thought I'd be happy when this happened and those things were actually happening and I wasn't happy. That's when I really had to like start diving deep into myself and figuring out, okay, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Like what makes me happy? What makes me tick? Like what is my purpose? What am I here to do? Who am I here to serve?
Yeah.
And I think as soon as I started to realize like all this heavy shit that I've been through has helped get me to a place where now I can share that with others and connect with others and show them like how to push through that.
Yeah.
And how to be vulnerable and how to communicate those things and how to really sit with depression. Like how do you really sit with it and like navigate through that? And I think when I started pursuing my project, it just became this like, I don't know, it's like I really feel like the first time that I ever learned who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I started just like listening to my inner child.
Yeah.
And I had sat with myself and I really imagined like, okay, like 10-year-old Kate, like what did she want? Like she wanted to be a singer. She wanted to be a pop star, you know, and like she wanted to wear like bright colors and be like in the spotlight and like, you know, and I started like really like tuning into what she wanted. And then I just started reflecting that into my life and like painting this picture of like, what did my inner child always dream about? Because I think that's like ultimately what I dream about and still dream about, you know? And so it's like, I now am in a place where I'm creating that life around me every single day. And that's not to say that like I've said, like I'll sometimes play a show and like I'll look back and be like, shit, like I didn't even feel present during that, you know, like it's easy to get detached from it sometimes. But I think when I really sit in the present and I look around myself, I'm like, I'm no longer thinking like I'm going to be happy when I have 1 million monthly listeners. Like I'm happy now because I'm building a life that I think is beautiful and I'm following my dreams now. And everything I'm creating around me is like exactly what I've wanted my entire life, you know? So it's starting to like make a life for yourself that you can actually love and embrace and be happy in the now.
Yeah, that's everything. I think honestly, I think that is like the definition of enlightenment, you know, is like that ultimate presence and realizing like we're already here. It's like heaven on earth.
It's all around.
It's not something that you're getting to at the end later. It's happening now.
Yeah.
And it's waking up, having that awareness that it's always going to be the present moment. It's never going to be tomorrow. So you can't put your happiness off till tomorrow. You can't put your joy off till tomorrow. It's happening now. And so like, this is it. Like if you have started,
our lives.
if you have started the artist journey, like you've already arrived, you know, if you're attached to playing EDC or playing some big show or whatever, like really like realize that the journey is like, this is it. This is the destination, and learning how to love it and fall in love with the process. And to be honest, I think that's the ultimate key for success for most people. It's like that moment of playing that show for that 1 hour is going to be 1 hour, that big ultimate goal that you have.
Yeah.
But you're going to have 10,000 other hours that it takes to lead up to that.
So like, what do you want your everyday life to look
like?
Like, what do you want to wake up and do every single day?
You got to
like,
love it.
Yeah, we all want to play the shows. Like, being on that stage for that hour is the most incredible feeling in the world.
But it's 1% of it.
Yeah, like you don't get to play every single day, and it's not every hour of your day is on that stage. So what do you want your everyday life to look like? And that's how you should build your career. You should build your career around, what do I want every single day of my life to look like?
Yeah, and if the whole thing is set up from the place of I'll be happy when I get there, and that's where the whole journey is coming from, it's going to be hard. And like, I don't think you're going to keep going.
No,
Like it has to,
you might not ever get there. Like when you have this attachment to what you think the end goal is,
yeah.
the universe isn't going to always give you exactly what you want and exactly what you think that looks like. But
Yeah.
when you detach yourself from like what exactly it's going to look like and how you're going to get there, like the universe starts opening up all these opportunities for you and letting you kind of co-create.
Well, and I think like what you said earlier about, you know, you've sort of discovered yourself through this process. It's like when it becomes about unfolding and discovering yourself and expressing yourself, it's like it becomes about the process of creating music, the process of learning more about who you are and what you like, and like how to peel those layers back and dig deep inside yourself. Like make it about that. Don't make it about just the end result and the goal, because like that's why so many people are fucking unhappy. Is
because they reach that goal and then they're like, oh shit, like this doesn't feel like what I thought it would feel like, you know, like this.
And I've already I've had multiple, you know, multiple artists on the show so far that have talked about that. They're like, hey, you play EDC, and then it's like you just want more immediately, right? Or you play Red Rocks and it was like, yeah, that was cool, but it really wasn't what I expected it to be.
And honestly, I think that expectation can just be the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely had that moment. Like I played EDC Las Vegas for the first time this year, and that was something I didn't think would happen for a very long time. And so because I had this huge expectation of it, I was like, oh, this is exactly what it's going to feel like, and it's going to be the best feeling in the world. And then like shit happens and they held doors, and like there wasn't a lot of people there for my set, and it didn't have that like moment that I thought it would have. And like I haven't really opened up about this to many people, but like sometimes I think we have these expectations and then they steal the moment for us, you know? Like sometimes, like for Beyond, for example, like I was like, I'm opening, there's probably not going to be anybody at my set. Like I filled that entire hangar in that hour of my set, and that was the most incredible feeling in the world, and I had no fucking idea what's gonna happen, you know? But like I set my expectation down here, and I was like, it's gonna be cool if a couple people come see my set, and like even if it's empty, I'm gonna fucking rock it, and it's my first festival and this is awesome. And then I was like so surprised by how incredible and amazing it was. And I think if we go into it with just like the fact that like I am so fucking grateful to have this opportunity and to be able to play music, even if it's for one other person.
Yes.
Then like this like crazy expectation doesn't get to steal our joy anymore.
Yeah, because there are going to be shows that flop. There are going to be things that happen. There are going to be things that don't turn out the way that you wanted to, and having that just perspective of gratitude no matter what. Like, thank you for the 2 people that came tonight.
Well, and like that's
a
the thing.
Choice to be grateful for that.
My EDC Las Vegas set, like I had a handful of people that like saw me there for the first time, and now they've come to every single one of my sets this year, and they've become like some of my most dedicated fans. And it was like, honestly, having that little group of fans that are now commenting on every single one of my posts, coming to every single one of my shows, listening to every one of my releases, that is more powerful to me than a huge crowd of people that forgot my name the second they left my set.
And you could have been like pissed off that nobody came and had the energy of resentment, the energy of just being mad and being upset. And like, okay, if that's the energy that you are choosing to be in, and I do say choosing, even though it might be unconscious, but like we do have the ability to choose where we go with things and how we feel. If you choose to go in that direction, then that also is just going to it's going to manifest more results from that energy, which are not going to be super fans, which are not going to be people coming to every show, which is going to be like, oh, Fredy's kind of a bitch. Like, I don't think I'm going to go to her next show. It's like,
but instead, I'm like, I have shows where like there isn't a huge hangar full of people, you know, but like I actually love those because they're more intimate, and I get to connect with my audience more, and I get to like go hang out in the crowd, and I get to talk with these people and dance with these people. And like, I think that is like ultimately the goal is to like be able to connect and be able to like share the thing that we all love, which is music. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for when I finally get to see a set, because I have not yet.
I know, it's kind of crazy to think you haven't.
I know. I'll be coming out for one. It's gonna happen. Many shows to come.
Many.
ACL next year, Austin City Limits next year. We'll get you in there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big goal, but
Hey.
we'll see.
Hey, you already
But
fought
hey,
UBC.
literally, like I put together a list of goals that I was going to hit this year, and I've hit every single one of them but one. But every single time I hit one, I was like, no fucking way this actually happened.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to actually start thinking bigger.
Yeah.
And I thought I was already thinking big.
Yeah, that's why when you tell me you hit a goal, I'm always just like, yeah, of course. Of course.
And I'm like, oh my God, I got New Music Friday. And you're like, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, be excited.
I am excited, but it's also like when you're tapped in and you're aligned and you're just like a master manifester, then I'm like not surprised at all.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course that happened.
Yeah.
And
letting
fuck
the
yeah.
universe.
And fuck yeah.
Letting the universe take me at this
Totally.
point.
Totally. Yeah. I love it. Well, I'm gonna make one plug for those of you that are interested in being a part of the group program that I'm putting together. I am going to take on a couple people to be my guinea pigs as I'm building it out. I'm going to have like a little select VIP crew to walk through it with as I'm building it out, and it will be at a massively discounted rate. So if you are interested in working together and getting involved in this community from the ground up, shoot me a message on Instagram, shoot me a DM, and we can talk about having you be a part of it. It's going to be really cool.
Highly suggest.
Yeah. It's going to be, I'm really excited. It's going to be dope.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see all the magic that unfolds.
Yeah. You can come be a guest speaker sometime.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Come hang with you guys.
Yeah. Everyone make sure to follow the amazing, beautiful, talented goddess queen, Fredy Lane, on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok. You're a big TikToker. You like TikTok, don't you?
I would not say I'm a big TikToker.
No, but
I
like,
am like
you like
humbling over TikTok.
But you're on TikTok. I know you use
I'm on
TikTok.
TikTok.
I like don't use
I
TikTok
use
at all.
TikTok.
Yeah.
I like love to follow other people's stuff. I have like I was just saying, my algorithm is like so good on TikTok. Like
Yeah.
if I'm having a bad day, I will literally get on TikTok and I'll be so uplifted and feel so empowered. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a badass boss bitch. Like, it just like brings me right back into that energy.
Yeah.
But I'm currently fumbling on how to utilize TikTok myself and post on TikTok.
Yeah.
And be successful there. But
Yeah.
but I think we all have certain struggles we're working on.
Well, go follow Fredy on TikTok and watch her stumble, all right? Yeah.
Please come watch me stumble and be
Yeah.
part of that journey with me, because next year, I'm going to be at like 100,000 followers, and I'm going to be really killing the game on TikTok, and
That's
you will
right.
be able to say that you
That's right.
watched me fumble my way there.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is such a special episode. 6 months,
6 months.
26
That is
episodes.
some discipline.
It's been so fun. Honestly, it hasn't been hard because I've just been having a blast doing it. But I really want to express my gratitude for everybody that has tuned in, everybody that has liked, and please continue to give it a little star. I don't even know. Where do I send them? Rate it, give it a star on Spotify, leave a comment, Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen to. It definitely helps. Share it with a friend. I really haven't put much effort into like pushing this out and marketing it yet, but once the course is done, I'm definitely gonna put some more effort into spreading the love with the podcast. I'm excited to now we got a podcast studio in Austin, so when
This is dope.
when artists come through, like I'm gonna do more in-person shit here because this is rad. So again, shout out to Pouch 6 and everybody over here, and thank you so much for hosting today.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I love you.
I love you.